Hello, my name is Nicole Hind and I'm an online counsellor. My website is www.unveiledstories.com. Please get in touch if you are looking to talk to somebody. I'm taking referrals, and I also have a free blog, which this video is a part of. So feel free to sign up for that if you're interested. This video today is about making change and how to make change. It's something that obviously people come to counselling for all the time, and also just other areas of their life. And I guess what I'm particularly going to be talking about is a certain part of when we're on a process of change, which can be incredibly frustrating. It can feel very unnatural, and we can get really annoyed with ourselves. And I'm here to kind of talk a bit about that, and then how to get out of that and what to do instead. So we're going to start by just sort of thinking about the process of making change as if you are treading a new path through the bush. So if you look at, say, like an old path in the bush, or a regular path that you might follow on a bush trail or a goat trail, basically that's gotten there because people have just tread it and tread it and tread it and tread it. And to start a new trail, you will notice when you go down, just plunge into the bush somewhere, and then you turn back around, nothing has changed. There's no sign at all that you started to tread a new path. And that is a really powerful metaphor for what is actually happening when you want to make change in your life. When you first start to walk a new path, it doesn't feel comfortable. One of the main reasons for that is because the brain just likes to be safe and secure, and it actually kind of enjoys patterns, even if those things are not good for you. Even if you kind of know that, it doesn't necessarily mean that the brain makes sense of that, or at least the part of the brain, the sort of more instinctive part that just likes things, to be secure, really just wants you to keep treading that same path all the time. Whereas maybe there's another part that's a little bit more developed, takes a long time for it to develop as well, the prefrontal cortex, or the part of your brain where, sort of narratives and memories are, and your ability to kind of think about values and what you care about and what you want from life, and those kind of, deeper thoughts. They're kind of located in a totally different part of your brain. So it can be really helpful to be aware of that. That's actually, they're not really together. They're not in sync with each other at all. It can be challenging as well. And so a key thing that people often talk about when they are sort of even becoming aware of something they'd like to change or something they'd like to be different in their lives is that they say, I'm sitting on the outside and I'm watching myself do this same thing again and again, and I can't seem to stop myself. And it's so frustrating. I've been there too. Drives you nuts, and you can get really down on yourself and really angry with yourself and really confused. I mean, it seems really clear, like, I want to change this thing. Why can I not do it? Why can I not take actions around, and they can be, this can be really broad. It can be things like leaving or ending a relationship that's not working. But it can also be things like, an example that was given to me recently was by somebody saying that she no longer wanted to engage in gossip with other people. And then she's watching herself in conversations with people being like, how am I still continuing to do this? It's so frustrating. But that is also the time when a lot of people, when you're treading that new grass or that new path, that we can actually then give up, because it is frustrating, or we can use that to add more to our failure story. Like, I'm just such a big hopeless loser that I can't change even this really simple thing in my behaviour, or this thing that everyone else is being driven crazy about, and they want the best for me, and I can't do this. Or we can just sort of push it away and go back to the old sort of more well-trodden path. And the thing about that is that that's actually a really positive sign, even though it doesn't feel like it, that bit where you're sitting on the outside watching yourself. And that's just, again, it's kind of a bit about how the brain works. Years ago, I used to work in sort of a play therapy model, working with small children. And something that can be reasonably typical in play therapy is that a child will play a certain game out, and that game might not be literal or make much sense to you as an adult. But they'll be playing it out, and then they'll get to a certain point, and then they'll go back to the beginning and they'll play it out again, and it will have a slightly different ending. And you might see that a number of times before there's an ending that is satisfying. That, again, might not make sense to you, but it makes sense to the child, and it can actually have an impact on how the child is in the real world. It's really important. Play is really, really, really important for children and adults, and we do forget that. It's not just about having fun, it's also about making sense of the world. So this thing where we're sitting on the outside watching ourselves, it can be a little bit like that, sort of the way that the brain works. It's sort of playing with this idea of changing something. The question that we can ask ourselves then is how? How am I going to change this thing? What am I going to say in that moment when someone's inviting me into a gossip conversation and I want to disengage, but I really like this person and I don't want to make them feel bad, and not even just that, like I don't want to come off as self-righteous. How am I going to sort of engage a little bit differently? And a key way to start asking yourself that question is to think about, how have I done it in the past? What have I done before that has made me feel a little bit better about the way I'm interacting, that does fit and is in line with my values, and what I want from life and what I want from other people and from myself. Give yourself some credit, because we often don't do that. We tend to sort of think, I need to change, and then you might be thinking, I need to change everything, and suddenly, you might join the gym and go on a diet and be on this strict regime and do all this stuff, and often that we kind of collapse, because that is exhausting and there's no room in there for feeling good about ourselves. What is happening is, like, you're trying to tread this new path through the bush and you're just kind of going like this, run, tread, I'm trying to make it happen. And the reality is that you can't really do that. You just kind of have to keep treading and maybe sometimes go back a bit and go down the old familiar path and then come back and start treading again. It's just kind of how things are, because it takes a long time to start to feel like the new thing is a little bit more natural. And another way to sort of be aware of that is, again, like to give yourself some credit for the times when you do something, no matter how small it is, that we enrich that narrative a little bit more, that we give that small thing or that little change a bit more weight, because it's not natural. It does feel hard. It is hard. So actually, that's the part, where you've really, trodden something in, where you kind of gone, oh, I don't want to just forget that I did that. I might have a look back and think, I've really managed to get the grass to stay down there. How have I done that? How was I helped to do that? How have I been supported? If you have been supported in any way to do something different or make a change, you can even sort of think about it like, grabbing onto a vine and sort of swinging over the top, and so that stage when you're noticing yourself not do the same thing again and it's driving you nuts. Another way to think about it might be like, oh, I'm just observing myself. I'm actually observing myself for the first time. I'm swinging over the top and I'm having a look. And that's okay, to do that, because I need to sort of become outside, regardless of whether I'm an introvert or an extrovert or whatever. It's a reasonably external process. So it is that thing of looking at it from the outside and seeing that as a positive, if very frustrating and irritating thing. Forgiving ourselves for not being able to make change immediately, that even if it makes sense to us that we want to change something. And the important message is not to give up. Don't see that feeling and that frustrating and that irritation as a time to then go, you know what, that's it. Like, this is just, I'm just going to get back to that old path. The truth is that you will never, ever go back to that very beginning place, because the difference in the question is that it's not, how have I ended up here again? It used to be, how have I ended up here? Or how am I doing this? Now it's, how am I doing this again? So even if you're going right back to the beginning and you're going back down that old path, you've still always got that opportunity to go down that new path, which you didn't have before when you weren't aware. I hope this has been helpful and supportive in you and your journeys, to make changes if that's what you wish, or to enrich something in your life, or, to jump on a new trajectory. Thinking a little bit more about what you want from life, what you want from yourself, what you want from other people. Take care. Get in touch with me, www.unveiledstories.com, if you wish. I would love to hear from you. And that's it. Bye-bye.